Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another episode of Chess Chat, a program produced by members of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University and brought to you live from the Rollstone Bank and Trust studio at Fitchburg Access Television. I am George Marajanian, Program Director of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University, and with me for this 217th episode of Chess Chat is our award-winning director, Dann of Fitchburg. He is a recipient of the 2009 very prestigious Boulder Award and is now in his 20th consecutive year as director of Chess Chat. He is assisted on this program on the set with camera work by Brian Bigelow, who also assists Darren in the control room. But also on the set, sitting across from me, is my longtime associate and colleague, Dave Kuchar of Northampton, formerly of Westminster, Massachusetts, who is a very talented guy in the world of chess. He is a chess writer. He is a chess photographer. He is the webmaster, our original webmaster at the Wachusett Chess Club, created our first program for a website. And he is a very active tournament and match player. He is a guy with many talents in the world of chess. And I want to welcome Dave Kuchar again to our 217th episode. Dave, welcome to you.
Hello, how are you? Very good.
Dave, I wanted to mention, I probably failed to mention to our viewers, our regular viewers would know that our club at the Fitchburg State University, Wachusett Chess Club, meets every Wednesday evening in rooms 163 and 165 of the McKay complex at the university. And we welcome players of all strengths, all levels at our club, either for casual chess or serious tournament chess.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, this episode of Chess Chat we are doing today is a tribute to one of the most significant chess personalities. This is the chess personality I'm talking about is Stephen Dann.
Yep.
Stephen Dann, who was born in Worcester, was born actually on August 25th, 1951. He would turn 75 later this month. Well, I knew him, I first met him in 1969. I had just come back the year before from Vietnam, and I met him when he was in his last year at Burncoat High School in Worcester. He graduated from Burncoat High School, and then went on to Northeastern University in Boston, studying journalism and political science, and got very much involved with chess. Got involved with chess at Northeastern University, got involved with chess in Worcester at the Worcester Chess Club, and went on to become one of the leading chess tournament organizers in New England, with primarily a focus on tournaments in Massachusetts. He organized many tournaments throughout the state, primarily in Worcester, but also in other venues. But I got involved with him heavily in the early 1970s, after I met him in 1969, when he became the first editor of the official publication of what was then called the Massachusetts State Chess Association. Its acronym was MSCA. It stood for the Massachusetts State Chess Association.
Yep.
But during the 1970s, he played a role in getting the State Chess Association a non-profit status with the help of a lawyer, Harold Dondas of Belmont, who did a lot of legal work in getting 501c3 status for the state association. But Stephen Dann was the first editor of the magazine Chess Horizons.
Yep.
In 1969, it was October 1969, he produced an 8-page production. Here's a photo of him. Now, I'm glad that Darren is showing this photo of Stephen Dann. You see a Boston Globe actually logo on the podium there. Well, this photo was taken in 2004, at the Boston Globe in Dorchester, at its headquarters, where Stephen Dann was speaking at the 40th anniversary of Harold Dundas, who was celebrating his 40th anniversary as the chess columnist for the Boston Globe. He started in 1964, Dundas did,
Yep.
and Stephen Dann actually spoke at that celebration, because Stephen Dann himself was a chess journalist, became a
Right.
chess journalist,
Right.
and started writing a column. He took over a column, chess column, in the Worcester Telegram and Gazette in 1975 from a fellow named Dick Mara, Richard Mara. And Stephen Dann wrote that column faithfully, continuously, for 39 years, from 1975 until his last column on June 29, 2014.
Yep.
It was one of the longest running, continuously appearing newspaper chess columns in the country. And
Yeah.
he did it. And he was actually applauded by the Chess Journalists of America as being one of the leading chess journalists in the country.
Yeah, it was something I read
Oh, yes.
in every Sunday paper.
I read that too, and I used to cut out actually his column. I've over 1,000, probably 2,000 columns. Anyways, Stephen Dann. Now this photo was taken. Yeah, was this taken actually in Westford, or what was the 2006? What was this? What year was this?
Continental Open.
Oh, this was played at the Continental Open. This is at a tournament held in Sturbridge called the Continental Open, which actually was organized by another chess tournament organizer, who we want to actually also tell our viewers about. And we're going to show a photo. Okay, here's a photo. We're going to show of 4 chess organizers here in this photo.
Yep.
Stephen Dann is standing on the left in the yellow jersey. Next to him, next to Stephen Dann, is Stephen Freimer, a very prominent chess organizer and tournament director who lives in Lexington, Massachusetts. Next to him in the yellow shirt there is Bob Messenger, New England's leading tournament organizer.
Yep.
And I don't know who that joker is actually on the right. That may be me. That is
20
me.
years ago.
Yeah. Again, this was at the Continental Open Championship in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Yeah. So getting back to Bill Goichberg, and again, I think Darren has actually some photos of Bill Goichberg we could show, because this is a photo of Bill Goichberg seated, and standing is actually his wife, who died several years ago. But the reason I'm including Bill Goichberg in today's program is that Bill Goichberg and Stephen Dann were very close friends. They were confidants.
Yep.
And Bill Goichberg died just this past week.
Yep.
Just died at the age of 83. It was August 2nd. It was a Sunday at the age of 83. And he was, without question, the #1 tournament organizer in the country.
Yeah.
He directed tournaments. Here's a photo of him. This was taken, I believe, actually in 2011, actually at the Continental, this Eastern Class Championship. That was another tournament that Bill Goichberg ran for the Continental Chess Association, which he founded in 1964. He changed the name to the name was actually previously the New York City Chess Association, but then he changed the name actually in the 1960s to the Continental Chess Association. But it is the leading chess association in the country as far as running tournaments nationwide, coast to coast. Yeah. And here's a photo of Bill Goichberg in 2015 at the same Continental Open in Sturbridge. Yeah. And that tournament is no longer held in Sturbridge, the Continental Open. But I still actually believe, I don't know where it's being held now. I should check that out. But it was held for years. 2 tournaments, Eastern Class Championship and the Continental Open, both held in Sturbridge. So anyways, I wanted to bring up Bill Goichberg because I remember going to Stephen Dann's house in Worcester back in the early 70s. I was there, and every time I was there, and I was there frequently, Bill Goichberg would call him. And Bill Goichberg would and Stephen Dann would compare notes, organizational. Each one would ask the other, well, how did your tournament go? Well,
Yeah.
Well, how did it go? Did you encounter any glitches,
Yeah.
any problems? They would discuss organizational ideas how to improve promotion of the tournaments. They were close friends, and they discussed how to best improve organizing tournaments. So I wanted to bring in Bill Goichberg because actually he also cannot be forgotten,
Right.
along with Stephen Dann. But getting back to Stephen Dann, he, in addition to being a very prolific tournament organizer and a tournament director and a journalist, writing that column he did for 39 straight years, he was also a phenomenal historian. Of all the people, all the players and tournament directors I've met in my nearly 70 years with chess, he knew more about chess history in New England, especially in Massachusetts, than anybody else I ever knew. He was a walking encyclopedia about the history of chess and the history of chess clubs that used to be in Massachusetts and New England than anybody else. It astounded me.
Yeah.
It astounded me that he knew so much. And again, he did so much for chess. And you know, in 1972, when Bobby Fischer played Boris Spassky in Reykjavik, Iceland, and Harold Dondas went over there. Harold Dondas was sent over by the Boston Globe to cover the World Championship in Reykjavik, Iceland. Stephen Dann would call Harold Dondas in Reykjavik and got reports and got actually telephonic reports from Harold Dondas, and actually had him send telegraph reports back to Stephen Dann, who disseminated that information to other journalists actually in the United States. And so actually it was thanks to Stephen Dann working with Harold Dondas, who was working in Reykjavik, that the news about the World Championship was getting out to other journalists. Of course, the match was being covered by AP, the Associated Press.
Right.
But Stephen Dann was actually bringing behind-the-scenes news that wasn't being reported by AP.
Okay.
Harold Dondas is right there reporting on incidents that were happening at the match that AP was not covering at all. But Stephen Dann got it strictly from Harold Dondas. Yeah. So Stephen Dann actually accomplished a lot, both as a organizer, a director, a historian, a journalist, but also as a player. You know, he started as a player.
Sure.
You know, most chess players who go into directing or organizing or writing, they start as a player.
Sure.
There's very few chess people who are not chess players themselves, but I know of a few who of which you will not find a chess rating. They never played a rated game in their life, but yet they are involved in chess, either as actually a writer or a historian, but they never joined the U.S. Chess Federation or played a rated game of chess. That's very rare.
I was going to say it must be pretty rare.
Very rare, but there are those players. There are those non-players who got involved with chess, but never themselves played a rated game in their life. Yeah, but Stephen Dann did play the game, and and you would find him online. You would find him in the archives of the U.S. Chess Federation. If you go to uschess.org and type in his name, his last name D-A-N-N, Stephen spelled S-T-E-P-H-E-N, you will find he was a solid Class B player. The years when he was playing, again, he concentrated his life on organizing chess tournaments, and it limited his chess playing days to his early days in chess. But he was a solid 1,700 player, solid, So he did that very well. So I want to move on to something Stephen did when he started organizing tournaments back in the 70s. In 1978, one of the major tournaments he started in Massachusetts was a tournament called the Newton Open. It was held in Newton, Massachusetts, and the first one was held in '78, and his last Newton Open that he held was actually held in Newton, Massachusetts. But he started when he started in 1978. His tournament was a 2-day event. He actually had rounds both on the Saturday and the Sunday. The last one he did actually was a single day event. It was actually on December 21st, 2002. That was the last Newton Open that Stephen Dann ran, was the 25th Newton Open, and he had a little over 100 players. Now we're going to present to our viewers a game that was played in a major Newton Open. It was the 8th Newton Open. It was played in 1985. It was played in January 5th, the first weekend in January of 1985. And that actually had 211 players. That was a big turnout back then. And it had a big attendance of masters and grandmasters, international masters, and World Chess Federation masters. And we're going to present to our viewers a game from that 8th Newton Open. But I want to point out that it was sad to see Stephen Dann stop organizing tournaments in 2002 because health had actually interfered with his organizing tournaments. And again, 12 years later, he stopped writing the chess column for the Worcester Telegram and Gazette. So, what is the game we're going to present to our chess chat viewers as far as from the Newton Open? This is played.
It's a game you found.
I found this game. It was published actually in the magazine that Stephen Dann founded, the Chess Horizons. It was actually in the 1985 issue, May-June issue. I think it was the May-June issue. And it was a game played between Patrick Wolf, who the previous year, 1984, had become the U.S. junior champion, U.S. junior chess champion. And he went on, and Patrick Wolf, who's, by the way, his parents, he grew up actually at Amherst. Both his parents were professors at UMass Amherst. His father was a philosopher, taught philosophy. His mother was a historian. They both were professors at UMass. But Patrick actually moved with his parents years later to Belmont, Massachusetts. That's where he graduated from Belmont High School. And made Belmont High School a powerhouse high school chess team that dominated scholastic chess.
Did he become the U.S. champion at some point? Twice? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was in 1992, a sole champion. But then several years later, he was co-champion with a Massachusetts grandmaster, Alexander Ivanov. We've done programs on Alexander Ivanov. And the other co-champion, as far as U.S. co-champion, we did a program, our last chess set was done on him, Nick DeFermian, Grandmaster Nick DeFermian. So there were three of them. Patrick Wolf, Nick DeFermian, and Alexander Ivanov. They were co-champions, so again, Patrick Wolf was U.S. champion twice, And again, he has since actually given up chess as a career. But again, I found this game.
And we should say that it was a column he used to write every issue.
Yes, called Wolf on Chess.
Wolf on Chess.
Wolf on Chess was the name of the column. This is back in the 80s. And this is before he became a grandmaster. He didn't become a grandmaster until later. So anyways, we're going to present this very interesting game that Wolf annotates in his column from Chess Horizons. And he played, this was round 2 of this 8th Newton Open in January 1985. And the player he confronted in round 2 was a very strong master from Warwick, Rhode Island, by the name of Kenneth Hall. And again, it's a really fascinating game that we're going to present to our viewers. So Hall had white. What did he play as his first move against Patrick Wolf from the 8th Newton Open?
Well, before we show that, I'll mention.
Or you have a comment?
Comment that, something that Patrick Wolf said in the column.
Yes.
He said, in the spring of '84, I became very interested in the Grunfeld defense.
Okay.
He said it has a sharp, unbalancing quality, leading to double-edged positions with chances for both sides. And black is the one who sort of steers it into that.
This is a defense. It's a black defense. And
he says this is accomplished without ceding any long-term advantages to white, as in the King's Indian, for example, where white often has a huge advantage on the queen side if black cannot stir up enough counterplay. And he said the disadvantage, I think he said, of the Grunfeld is the incredible body of theory, not only in the hot lines, he said, but also many different plans for white as early as move 4.
Okay.
And then he says, however, no one ever said chess was easy.
Right.
So I sat down and spent some weeks in intensive Grunfeld study. By the time the U.S. Junior Championship took place, I felt ready to use it there and at the World Junior Championship in Finland. When I came back to New England, I decided to save my opening surprise for a suitable time. Finally, at the Newton Open, held in Watertown, I used it twice with good results. Both games are presented below, so this is one of the games. And he says, after just one mistake by white, black gains an initiative. It waxes and wanes, but never fades, and eventually white cannot contain it.
Okay.
So that's his overview of the game. And as you said, Dave Hall.
So what did Ken Hall? Yeah.
Ken Hall.
Yeah. What did Ken Hall play as his
first move? Is knight f3.
Okay.
Which is the
yeah.
third most popular move.
Yes, among opening moves.
It's not seen that often.
Right.
And a lot of times, the white player is looking to avoid certain lines from black. I mean, obviously, one thing he does is he's stopping black from doing that immediately.
Yes. Yep.
So that's already out.
Okay. So in response to knight f3 by Ken Hall, Patrick Wolf plays g6. Yeah. Now he could have played one of his center points, d5. He could have played d5.
Right.
But this is actually a wait and see.
Sure.
Yeah.
And some people call it opening poker. It's like
exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to wait to see what you do before I make any committal moves.
Because a pawn, the center pawn event is a commitment.
Right.
But this actually allows flexibility on the part of black here. So how did Ken Hall continue?
So rather than push one of the center pawns, he plays the c pawn up to c4.
All right. And of course, in response to that, Wolf just developed his knight to f6. Knight f6 is his move, second move. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, how does white continue here?
He develops again knight to c3. So this is interesting.
Right.
I mean, in most openings, one of the central pawns is already pushed at this point.
Yeah, right.
And
exactly.
both players are holding off.
They're holding off,
waiting to see what the opponent's doing.
Exactly. All right. So here is where now Wolf plays on his third move, d5.
Right.
Immediately it comes right here. Okay. And of course this. All right. So again, he's attacking the pawn here.
Yeah.
But he's also, besides that threat, he's also the threat of advancing the pawn to d4, attacking the knight, and force the knight to move again.
Right, which would be bad.
idea. So white does not want that pawn certainly to advance to d4 to dislodge that knight from c3.
And so one of the ways to do that is to just play d4, stopping the pawn.
Right.
And opening up lines.
Right.
For this bishop, and now we've.
So this is actually, now we have reached the Grunfeld proper. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little word about the Grunfeld defense. This was named after a early 20th century grandmaster from Austria, Ernst Grunfeld, who popularized it. Actually did a lot of analysis on this defense, and they named this defense after him. Mm-hmm. It's worldwide. It's known as the Grunfeld defense. All right. So what Wolf did was play bishop g7. Just continue with his development. Bishop g7 was his move on move 4. That was. So it is now White's fifth move. What does he do?
Yeah. So we can say that the most popular variation here is to take this.
Very popular.
Black takes back with the knight. We can show it.
Knight takes back.
And then
E4
white
attacks
takes over the center.
And now that knight has to actually make a decision. In the move, the most popular is simply knight takes c3 here.
And so
B takes c3.
This is the more
And this has been played millions of times.
Right, yeah.
This has been seen worldwide millions of times.
And then black disrupts the whole thing by playing that.
Right. Okay.
So that's what's much more standard.
Right, okay. So let's put the pawn back here on d5 here.
d5 and c4, yeah.
Okay, and d here. Okay.
So you have to, I mean, I think, that's considered to be best.
Right.
But from White's point of view, he's probably thinking, I don't want to play the line that Patrick Wolf knows.
Right.
I'm going to play a slightly weaker
Yeah.
version.
So after e3, what Wolf does is just the castle.
Yep.
So he's able to castle very quickly. It's the fastest you could castle with 4 moves like this, or 5 moves. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, anyways, it is now White's 6th move coming up. What does he do?
So he develops the queen to b3, and it's a multi-purpose move, right? So it's adding another attacker to that pawn.
So we have 3. We have this attack 3 times,
Yep.
and it's only defended
Only
twice.
defended twice.
So this pawn needs to be defended.
Right, and the other point of this is that it's hitting this pawn, so the bishop can't move. Like,
The bishop can't go here to
move to
defend that
defend,
pawn.
'cause
It
they-
has to, bishop has to stay here to
Right.
protect this pawn
So
on
he has
b7.
to stay there. Yep.
Okay. So in response to b3, Wolf, black, has no choice but to defend that pawn by playing e6, shutting in his
Shutting
light
his
square
bishop.
Both sides have shut in their bishop. Dark squared bishop for white,
Yep.
light squared bishop for black. Okay.
And in his column, he does say, in my opinion, this is black's best move here, even though it is
Yeah.
shutting in that bishop.
Yeah, because he rejects actually. Wolf rejects taking this pawn here like this. He could have done this, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but he rejects this because this actually just activates this bishop taking here and just gets another piece developed and it accelerates ability
Sure.
to castle quickly. Yeah. So he rejects that.
And
Rejects the whole idea.
there's other choices too. There, even c5 is a possibility here.
that was a possibility.
Yeah.
But instead he plays e6, okay, shutting in the light square bishop. Okay, it is now White's move, 7th move coming up. So what does he do?
Getting ready to castle, he develops the bishop to e2.
Okay. So now that black has actually shut in this bishop by playing e6, he has to see a way to try to bring this black bishop into play.
Yep.
He plays b6, which actually vacates the b7 square to be able to fianchetto that bishop on b7. All right.
Yep.
So that is Wolf's move, b6. And how does Hall respond now?
So now he castles.
Castles. Okay. And of course, and now after that was 8th move for White, and Wolf now responds. His 8th move is just to fianchetto the bishop. Bishop b7. That's his move. All right. So we're coming up to White's 9th move.
Yeah.
How does one continue?
So he plays rook to d1.
Yeah, because White is rather limited here. The bishop on c1 only has that 1 square.
Yeah.
So at least, and of course the rook has no future staying on f1.
Right.
So rook d1.
And it's often a good idea to put your rook on the same file as the opponent's queen.
Right. Okay.
Just in case it opens up.
All right. So again, there's still time for more development of pieces here. And black now develops the knight on b8 to d7. Knight bd7 is now black's 9th move. Okay. All right. It is now Hall's 10th move.
Yeah, and this Patrick Wolf gives this a question mark, which means he thinks it's a mistake.
So what's the move?
We'll show it in a second.
Oh,
But he says
okay.
up till now both sides have played routine moves, and he said a reasonable continuation might be like bishop to d2, for example. But so he plays c5.
And Wolf criticizes this move.
Yeah, and he said the problem with c5 is that black can force white to take on b6. We're going to see it, giving black a favorable pawn structure after he plays e5.
Okay.
So.
All right. So after c5, so c5 he gives a question mark. So what Wolf plays is queen to e7. He develops the queen to that square. It does connect the rooks here.
Connects the rooks and it hits
but
this
also
pawn
hits
a second
this.
time.
Oh, so we're attacking this 3 times then. The pawn on b6, the knight, and the queen. So we're threatening, but we can't. But remember, we cannot take here with the pawn, because isn't this queen attacking here? I mean, again, it does attack here, but again, there's no way we can take here because of this bishop is undefended. Okay, but it does put pressure. There's pressure of the c pawn.
Yeah.
All right. So what does actually Hall do?
So he develops his last piece basically in d2.
That was move 11 by White. Okay. Yeah. All right. So But now Wolf does have the threat of winning this pawn. If he can defend this bishop on b7, he plays the rook over the b8, rook a b8, because now there is the threat of taking here.
Right.
We have a triple attack on this pawn, which is only defended twice. So there is the threat now of winning that c pawn.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And Wolf's comment in the column was, "This rook is like New England's weather. If you think it's passive, wait a while."
Oh, you mean this rook right here?
Yeah.
Okay, this rook right
He
here.
said it looks sort of passive, but he says wait a while. And actually, he says C move 26. So
All right.
we'll have to wait.
All right. So
now, like you say, yeah, he's it's
now
attacked 3 times.
right.
Now
So C takes b6.
Yep.
And of course, what the Wolf does, he recaptures it toward the center. He's not going to take with the c pawn. He takes with the a pawn. A takes b6 is his response. Yeah.
And that's a general
Yes, right. Take to
rule of thumb. Capture towards the center.
Toward the center. Yeah. Right.
Unless there's some overriding reason not to.
And yeah. Right. Okay. So now it is White's next 14th move.
Yeah.
No. It's actually Black's
13th move. Yeah.
This now allows yes, a4.
So Patrick Wolf actually gave this an exclamation point.
Oh, he likes this
as being a good move.
Okay.
But he's going to talk about it.
Oh, really?
A couple moves later.
So he likes this move.
So I think he likes this idea of this pawn advancing and threatening to push, and possibly push again.
Okay. All right. Okay. So he likes the move.
He likes the move.
So in response to a4 by Ken Hall, Patrick Wolf now actually responds by playing the pawn to e5. He plays there. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and again, all right. So, how is Hall going to respond to e5? What does he do?
So what he does,
this is move 14
move
for White
14,
coming up.
he plays queen to a3.
Oh, he's off. Wait a minute. Is he offering exchange of queens?
Offering exchange of queens for one thing.
Yes.
But he's sort of interrupting the plan he had. And Patrick Wolf says that White's previous move got an exclamation point because it showed White has a good logical plan and is wasting no time implementing it. Then he says queen a3, however, takes the tempo to help Black more than White after c5 gets played. So he's saying.
So he said that White should have kept the queen on b3
here, probably just
and advanced the pawn to a5.
Advanced the pawn. He's saying that this is going to help Black more than it's helping White because of he's going to play c5. Maybe he overlooked c5.
Right.
Maybe he thought that Black had to do the exchange.
Okay. Well, Wolf does not want to exchange. It's obvious based on his next move that he doesn't want to exchange queens.
Right.
Instead, he plays the pawn to c5 to block the exchange possibility here. So that's what actually Wolf did on move 14.
And he's taking space, right? I mean, look at his center now. He's got
exactly
3 pawns in the center.
Absolutely, right, absolutely. All right, so what does Ken Hall do on move 15 here?
Yeah, so he doesn't want to leave this full center here, so he starts exchanging.
Knight takes e5.
Takes e5.
And of course, Wolf recaptures. Knight takes e5 is his response here.
Yep.
Knight takes e5. And of course, Hall must recapture on move 16. D takes on e5. And Wolf naturally recaptures by playing queen takes e5. All right, so we've reached this position here. Okay. All right. And what is again? This queen is actually shut out over here. I mean, it seems a very awkward place for the queen to be. Very awkward place for that queen to be there. All right. It is now Ken Hall's 17th move. What does he do?
So he puts the bishop on a better diagonal, kind of opposing the Black's bishop.
Right. And
and adding an
attacker on the pawn on d5. Okay. All right. Now here is where Wolf plays. He realizes this queen.
Well, he does. He talks about it.
He talks about this next move.
Yeah.
So he plays the queen to a5,
f5. Yeah.
Queen to f5. Okay.
And he said the queen seems well placed on e5.
Right.
But it may possibly be better on f5. And he said at the time he was unsure about what would happen if he was thinking of playing this rook here. but he was worried about what would happen
If the pawn were pushed?
if the pawn were
A5.
pushed. He gives a lot of analysis,
All right.
and
We have time. Actually, we have time for analysis.
yeah, they're not for this length.
No, yeah.
But
We don't want to get into intense analysis.
But he did say at the end of his analysis, it looked like White was going to end up with his pawn here
On A6.
if he had played the rook.
Okay.
And
Right.
he says that in his analysis, he missed White's next move.
And all right. And
And he says, however, he says, I missed White's next move, however.
Okay.
He says, and a lot of time was eaten up on the next few moves by both of us. So he missed White playing the knight here.
and that was actually move 18 that Hall
18.
played.
So, you know,
there's a threat now.
with the threat of coming in here, forking.
And actually eliminating that bishop, right, by doing so. So,
But it's, you know, we should point out this is pretty complex again, and we're doing very superficial analysis. But
Wolf this is being analyzed by Patrick Wolf actually in 1985, right?
Right.
Yeah. This is before the
Sure,
This is before computer analysis.
Yes.
So he's actually doing this with his own mind here.
right, yeah, and then you know he's looking at it again at home after the game, doing
Right.
some
Oh, yes,
analysis,
right, exactly, yeah.
which you know once upon a time took up hours and hours
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
pre-computer days, and we'll talk about that a little more
Okay.
later on.
So Black must stop this knight from coming to D6 with the forking the queen and the bishop.
Yeah.
And Wolf is able to do that by playing this rook on F8 over to D8. So now we're here. We prevent the knight from sinking into D6.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it is now Ken Hall's 19th move. How does he continue?
Now here comes the pawn.
A5. Okay. All right. So. All right, so now we have some, so we're attacking this undefended pawn on b6, one thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So here is where...
And attacking, you know, and taking is probably not a good idea because
No, right.
the queen's going to get this pawn
Right.
and then expose this pawn to an attack. So
Right, exactly.
that's not a good option.
No. All right, so after a5 by White, what Wolf does, he retreats. He retreats with the queen back to D7.
Yep.
Now he is attacking this knight on B5. So we have a threat there. The knight is now under attack. Okay. So what are we going to do here after?
So this again, this is getting super complex.
Yes. Yes. Right. So how are we going to respond to this?
So the interesting thing again, he's analyzing. You know, there were no computers back then.
Right.
This is all done in his head.
Right.
By hand, and he thought that the only move here,
Yes.
for White, that the only good move
was the sink in here?
this crazy, yeah,
Oh.
knight moving here.
Oh, so that was the only move he considered.
That's what he thought. He said.
Right.
What did he say? He said that was critical. He called it a critical move.
So
that he had to play that. But
however,
the computer says that this is actually even better.
so if a computer has evaluated this move as a superior move.
As a superior move.
Right.
But it also, along with knight to a7 being, you know, not a horrible move.
Right.
It also thought that pushing to a6,
Attacking the bishop.
Was also a good move. So
Yeah.
you know, the computer thinks that there's pretty much three good moves,
All right.
of which this would be the best. But
Yeah.
he played none of those.
So he plays what?
He actually plays bishop to e2, so he's defending the knight.
That was
with
move
the bishop.
20. Right.
Move
So-
20, bishop to e2.
Okay.
Yep.
So bishop e2.
So he's defending the knight.
Okay. All right. So now it is actually Wolf's 20th move is Black. So what he does, he plays the bishop to c6, and now he has a double attack on this knight, which is only defended by the bishop on e2.
Yep.
All right. So it looks like this knight cannot be defended. There's no way to defend that knight again. That knight has to retreat.
Yeah.
Has to find safety somewhere, and there's only one square we see here.
Yeah. Knight to c3.
Knight c3 is the only move, exactly, that saves that knight. All right, is now Wolf's 21st move. He now advances the pawn to d4, attacking the knight on c3. All right, so, and again, I don't think, well, I don't think the white's going to retreat the knight. Instead, actually, there's a capture here. E takes d4, and he takes back, see, with the c pawn. And Wolf responds with c takes d4.
Yep.
So we have actually a capture of pawns, or exchange of pawns here. Okay.
But the knight's still attacked.
So yeah, right. So the knight actually has to move.
It plays to a4, where it's defended by the queen and the rook.
Okay. All right. All right. So now, all right. Okay. So now it is now it's Wolf's 23rd move. Now he comes up with a move actually, which I believe he likes.
He gave himself an exclamation point, which means it's a good move.
So he likes the move he makes here, and the move he makes in this position is bishop f8, and attacks the queen.
Right.
So he likes this move.
And part of why it's such a nice move is that it's one that a lot of players wouldn't even think about, right? Because when you fianchetto your bishop, you're thinking about what it's going to do on this diagonal here.
Right, exactly.
You don't think about bringing it back to its starting square.
Exactly, yeah.
So a lot of people wouldn't even consider it. And he did say, he said this move took a long time to find and calculate.
Yep.
He says black has black has more active pieces and more control of the center, thanks to his d-pawn, and given the nature of his pieces and white's pawns, wants to attack white's king.
Right.
But white's queen is magnificent on the third rank, so the queen has the control of and the option to move anywhere on this third rank. He says, so the solution?
Yes.
Question mark. He says, chase it back to a2.
Right.
So
now, it's interesting. This we've already played now 23. How many moves here? 23 moves.
Yeah.
And in all this 23 moves, this poor little rook on a1 has not moved. Is the only undeveloped piece that white has.
Yeah.
Black has actually developed all his pieces here. Right. Exactly. For one thing. All right. So what did Hall do in response to actually to this bishop now attacking this queen?
So Patrick thought he was going to move it back to a2.
He probably expected.
Right, that was his intention, just to get it off of that third rank.
Get it off.
And the interesting thing here, in this computer era, is he plays bishop to b4, which,
and
according to the computer, is the best move in this position.
Oh, really? So the computer said,
but Patrick Wolf thought it was a mistake.
So he gave it a mistake, but the computer says this is the best move.
Yeah. He thought queen to a2 was the best move.
Yeah. But instead, the computer says
like we were talking, computers now are roughly 1,000 points higher rated than the best player in the world. So there's there's no comparison.
You told me what the rating is.
I think it's roughly 3,700.
3,700? Yeah. Yeah.
And the Magnus Carlsen is like 2850 roughly.
Magnus Carlsen wishes he could crack 2,900.
Right. He was hoping at one point to crack 2,900.
But no,
couldn't do it.
But he's still the highest rated player in the world. Yeah. But again, the strongest computer in the world is still Stockfish.
Stockfish, I think. Yeah.
Dominates.
But they're all nowadays. They're all
so what
so
they're saying is actually the strongest computers. There's no human has a chance against the computers. Right. There's no chance.
No.
The strongest human.
Back in the day when Deep Blue, beat Kasparov, they were roughly even. I mean, that was a close match.
But that has changed, though.
But it's completely changed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So getting back to this bishop b4, which actually
Patrick Wolf thought was a mistake.
Gave a question mark mistake, but the computer says no. This is the best move.
So that's an indication of how complex this position is to analyze.
Okay. So after bishop e4, what the Wolf did after bishop e4 is he actually took the knight again. Bishop takes a4 is his move right here.
Yeah.
Bishop takes a4. Okay. And of course, what Ken Hall did on move 25 was to recapture.
Recapture, yeah.
Queen takes a4, and Wolf captures the queen on a4, where queen takes a4 here.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, White's response. Are we catching up here with the moves here?
Yep.
Rook takes a4.
Rook
All right.
takes a4.
All right. So this rook is on a4, temporarily protecting this bishop on b4, which is attacked by this bishop here. However, with Wolf's next move, we have a problem for White. Because the pawn, the b5, attacks the rook, and now is going to force, there's going to be a loss of material here. I mean, we see the rook is under attack, and if the rook moves,
he drops
the bishop. So White has to make a decision. Do we save the rook to lose the bishop, or do we actually give up the rook to save the bishop?
So what he did is he took the bishop on f8.
Bishop takes f8, which allows Black to take the rook with b takes a4. That's his move, and that was actually his move here on.
Move 27.
27, right there, right.
Yep.
It is now Hall's 28th move coming up.
And this is a key thing. This is so.
Yes.
This is.
This is key. So this is a key position, though.
It's a key position, but when Wolf was doing his analysis, in the game, he foresaw this, and he thought, all Black can do is
play
this bishop to e7, and he's going to lose because of Black's next move. But in fact,
the computer
came up with this move.
Now why? Why did the computer come up with this? What is the purpose of playing bishop to a3?
I guess part of it is to defend.
Yes, to save here.
Defend this. Yeah.
Save that pawn. Right. Okay. Yeah. Because he's given up. Again, basically what White gave up was the exchange. He gave up his rook for a bishop. Black has an exchange up.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the computer said it was better actually, if you're going to give up the exchange, to at least save that pawn.
Don't allow this rook down to the 7th rank, and White has a chance to save the game.
Right.
But they didn't see it at all.
He missed.
Automatic, played.
So Hall played this.
Hall played
which
that.
seems like a natural move.
Seems like a natural move, and that's exactly what Wolf expected.
Right.
But there's, the problem is this next move.
All right. So, of course, Wolf was not going to leave that rook there to give the exchange back, that he won the exchange.
Yep.
But incidentally, he actually have two bishops on the same file. So, by playing rook e8 like he did, Hall has no choice but to take the knight, which he attacked here.
Which he does.
Bishop takes f6, which allows Wolf now to take rook takes e2, the bishop on e2.
Right, and now, besides being up the exchange, Black has a rook on the 7th rank, which is brutal. Yeah, so Black is still the exchange up, but again, yes, we now actually have pressure. Look at the attack actually on that b pawn here. Right, and if White earlier had played the bishop here, this pawn would have been defended.
Right,
but neither of them saw it.
Okay, so what is now Hall's next move? Move 30, right? Coming up.
So all he's got is he's got this.
He's got a passed pawn.
This passed pawn.
Is there any hope for this passed pawn? I mean, anyways, after a6. What Wolf responds with is he captures this pawn on b2, but with what rook? What rook? One mistake. Now let's okay. Well, he decides he's not going to take it with this pawn. He's going to keep this rook here to stop any advance of this pawn.
Yep.
He takes with this pawn. This rook.
Yeah.
Rook takes on e rook takes actually on b2. So he has.
And now he's got a threat too, which is.
Oh yes.
He could move down here.
Right.
And it's going to be.
Yes, forcing the exchange of rooks.
Checkmate.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Actually, he's threatening checkmate, right, by capturing. So it is now Ken Hall's 31st move. Oh, so he goes and attacks the rook here. So So what he does, he plays just the rook over to A8. Rook A8 is his move 31, which allows Ken Hall to do what?
So he takes the pawn on D4.
Oh, which protects this
protects
pass
the pawn and attacks the rook at the same time.
Exactly, right, exactly. So, yeah, we have a double attack. Rook and pawn, defends the pawn. Okay, so what does Wolf do in response to this? Well, he's got to save this rook, for one thing. And where does he bring it? Well, it says, well, I'm going to bring it back to B7. I'm going to bring it right here, okay?
Yep.
And that's what he did. It is now Ken Hall's 33rd move. All right, so how does he proceed here? Well, he says, hey, it's time to get the king
into the game.
Into the game.
Yep.
The king has to play a role in this, yeah.
In the end game, yeah.
In the end game, yeah. So what Wolf says, well, wait a minute. I've stopped the advance. This pawn is going nowhere, but I have a pass pawn, and so he plays.
Nope.
I'm sorry, no. It's actually is it
rook D7 here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I take that back.
Yep.
It's a stronger move. He pins this bishop.
Pins the bishop. This is part of the reason why this king got moved here.
Exactly, right.
Because
exactly.
if he hadn't.
Right. Yes, right. That would have been disastrous. Yes. Right, exactly. So, yes, so he had to do that. I'm sorry. So after rook D7, which Wolf did, he comes over here, king E2.
King E2, defending the rook. So now he can move the bishop.
So now he can, so Wolf now does advance the pawn to A3.
Yeah.
A3 is his move, okay? And what does Ken Hall do? Move 35.
King A3 is just trying to activate the king.
All right. All right. It is now Patrick Will's 35th move, and he decides, well, you know what? I've got a pass pawn. I'm going to eliminate your pass pawn once and for all by capturing this pawn, and he takes it with this rook here.
Yep.
Rook takes A7.
And the thing is now, white can't take back because because
then he would lose this rook.
He'd lose the rook because the king is no longer defending it.
And he couldn't come back to stop the advance of this pawn to the queen because the rook actually controls this square for the bishop to retreat to. Yeah.
So he resigned here.
So why did the question is asked? Why did he resign here?
Right. In fact, Darren asked us why.
Yes, our director asked us. So why did actually White resign in this position? Shall we show why? I mean,
yeah, and you know, again, it'd be reasonable to play on. I'd say.
Right, exactly.
You know, if I'm White, I'm going to be playing on.
Right.
At this point.
So after this, how does White proceed here? How does White continue here? I mean, cannot take here because this here takes here, and this pawn will queen in 2 moves. So this cannot be done. Yeah. But you can see that the Black's next move is going to be this.
Yeah. So
does White have anything here?
Does he have any, I mean, so one thing he could do. I mean,
he could go there.
If I were to play on it, this is probably what I would do. Right.
Okay.
And then Black is probably just going to push the pawn, right?
Well, again, we could push the pawn. But how about actually just saving the rook and just playing the rook up here? I mean, and just play it up here.
Attacking the bishop a second time.
Second time. This seems stronger.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things Black can do here.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, we're just going to advance it here. Eventually, we're eventually going to be able to bring this rook over and over here.
The other rook and
right here. And force
let's just do a couple moves, right? Like if that's right. He's attacked twice, right?
Right. So he has to move the bishop.
So he has to move the bishop.
And he's rather limited where he could go.
Right. So.
Oh yeah.
So let's say he could go here to attack this pawn a second time.
We'll just go here.
Yeah, push it again.
We'll go right here.
Right.
Okay. Exactly.
So now this rook is pretty much stuck in the corner.
Exactly.
Holding that square.
Right. Yeah.
And so eventually,
the king is actually cut off.
The king is cut off right now.
So it's only confined to this side of the board.
Yeah.
But the next move that actually Black's going to play, if the king, say, just dances here, this rook is going to come over here and then eventually come down to here.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And once that happens, there's
this pawn will eventually queen. Yeah.
Right. So if he did that, So if he did that, and the king, just tries to come closer.
Let's say we go here.
Then the rook comes down.
It's done.
and that's
he
it.
can't do anything.
Because if he captures, then it's a recapture and it promotes to a queen, right?
And if he goes here to protect this rook, well, all this rook has to do.
All this rook, you could just take
it with check.
Take it with check.
And then win that rook.
And then take this.
Yeah. So this would be a one-end game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
So at that, at their level, he knew this was coming.
This is an easy one end game, because that pawn would eventually queen, and the game would be won.
Right. So
anyways, this was actually again Stephen Dann. This was a tournament that he organized, directed. He did the pairings again. When he did the pairings, when he paired Ken Hall against Patrick Wolf,
it was all done by hand.
It was all done by pairing cards. He had actually by index cards.
Yeah.
And that was the era of actually pairing by cards, and he paired for many years manually.
Everybody had to. That's all that existed.
And then later on, actually, he did hire people like Bob Messenger, who directed tournaments for him, and other people who directed for him, and they did it by computer. Back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. When his last tournament was again the Newton Open from 2002 was done by computers. But again, Stephen Dann, he made his mark in chess as being actually one of the most active tournament organizers through the 70s, 80s, 90s. He was also a multi-time president of the Mass Chess Association.
Oh, really? Okay.
And also he. After being the first editor of Chess Horizons, he actually appointed the second editor of Chess Horizons in 1971, who happened to be the Wachusett Chess Club champion from 1970, 71, and 72, Phil Leisure. Philip Leisure, who taught sociology at Mount Wachusett Community College in Gardner, who was the second editor of Chess Horizons. But Stephen Dann was the one who drove to Gardner. And I remember when he did that, it was actually during the Massachusetts Open. Every year we hold the Massachusetts Open, which is the state championship. Mm-hmm. Stephen Dann, who would normally go to the Massachusetts Open, which is the annual meeting of the members, instead of going to the state championship and the annual meeting, he drove to Gardner, talked Phil Leisure into becoming the next editor, and Phil Leisure agreed to do it for a year or two, until I came on board in 1972. June 1972, I became the third editor of Chess Horizons in that year. But even after Stephen Dann was no longer the editor of the magazine, he was the publications coordinator. Because what he did, he knew he had contacts in Worcester County, and especially in the Worcester area, and he was the one that would get the finished product when he got the print-ready edition to go to the printer. Stephen Dann would actually bring the printed copy to the printer and have the magazine printed. So he was the publications coordinator, but he was also the volunteer coordinator. He was the one that went out and solicited players to volunteer their services as directors. He recruited Bob Messenger in early 1990s to become a director for the Wachusett Chess for the Mass Chess Association. So again, he did a lot for both the state association and as well as for chess journalism in general. So we miss him very much. So I hope our Chess Chat fans enjoyed the program we did honoring Stephen Dann, but also honoring Bill Goichberg, who had a lot of common interests with Stephen Dann in organizing and directing tournaments. We've lost two major tournament organizers in this country with the passing of Stephen Dann in July of this year and Bill Goichberg in early August of this year. And we hope that they will never be forgotten in the world of chess. So we hope our viewers stay tuned for the next edition of Chess Chat, where we'll have a very interesting program to present. Thank you all for watching.